Nigel Farage has called for Britain to stop further funding to France until they stop escorting boats full of illegal migrants across the Channel and to the UK. Here he is speaking to GB News live from the Channel shortly before he won the Trick Award for Best Presenter.
Behind me, you can see a white dinghy. There are 45 people on board. Behind it, you can see an escort vessel, because that's what the French do. Despite the 500 million quid we've given them, they literally, once these boats are afloat, escort them to our 12-mile line where they hand them over to Border Force. That of itself, I think, is outrageous. But the significance of this boat is that this number on this vessel take it beyond 50,000 that have come since Rishi Sunak has been Prime Minister.
It's quite stark, isn't it? And the Reform UK leader has a simple solution. As I've said, cut funding to the French. He told reporters, "We've got to say to the French that this is a completely unacceptable practice. You are literally aiding and abetting criminal gangs and certainly no more money." Why have we given them the money? How has this Conservative government been so bad at negotiating? Well, France refuses to stop the boats once they are out of shallow waters, insisting that it would breach maritime law to intervene and would also put migrants' lives at risk, often because they refuse help or threaten violence. Well, I now welcome former Labour MP and MEP Siôn Simon. Siôn, look, thank you very, very much. Great to have you on the show. So, right then, no more money to France, says Nigel. What say you?
Well, I say I'm not at all surprised that Nigel has decided to make the French the enemy and the problem when it comes to the small boats. But it's actually not the French, is it? It's not the French. It's not the Europeans. It's a global problem, and it's being done to those migrants and to us by very, very serious, very nasty organised crime, but the worst kind of international criminals. Those are the actual problem.
I mean, that is, look, undeniably, yeah, sure. Look, I mean, undeniably, criminal gangs are aiding and abetting the transfer of human cargo right the way through Europe.
Why doesn't Nigel do a photo? Why doesn't Nigel do a photo op about criminal gangs instead of about the French government? The problem is not that the French government are going behind these people in boats, escorting them.
To be fair, Siôn, I really do think that is a bit of the problem, because we've given them at least 500 million quid. We exposed here at GB News that some of that money went to putting a fence around a football stadium that was nearby so that the migrants didn't damage their football stadium. They're taking police off the beach so that they can go and police the Olympics. We also unearthed footage of them just filming as women with children, actually, on the rare occasion, of course, these boats are not chock-a-block full of, young men, wading out into the Channel and waving them off. So when it comes to actual value for taxpayers' money, we are not getting it, are we, Siôn?
Well, no, of course we're not. So it depends what you're saying. If you're saying the Tories, yet again, have done a disastrously bad deal, they have wasted a vast amount of money on a bad deal with the French that needs to be renegotiated, then I would say, yes, absolutely. Of course, if there is a deal to be done, the Tories will have done a terrible one, for sure. And that's why the Labour manifesto says very clearly, we'll renegotiate our deals with the French. But
if you tell us how they're going to do that, just out of interest, Siôn?
It's all that, like, take all the money back from the French. Is that going to stop the boats? No, of course it's not. It's not going to make any difference. It's just going to make it worse.
OK, I suppose what Nigel would say, though, is that it would save us, hundreds of millions of pounds as well. Can I just clarify something, Siôn, if that's all right? Do you actually see anything wrong with a load of young men who we don't necessarily know who they are or where they're from actually breaking into Britain on a daily basis?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to see that any more than anybody else.
Can I just ask, do you not want to see that because you actually think that's a bad thing for Britain, or because you feel sorry for people making that journey across the Channel?
Absolutely both. Absolutely both. It is that our borders should be respected. There is a proper way to enter this country, and there are certain people, actually the vast majority of people in the world, who are not allowed to enter this country unless they're on holiday. And that's the way that it should be. And that's why what we should be doing is what Labour is saying that we should be doing, investing money in what they're talking about, 1,000 new hardcore police officers, intelligence officers, new, not giving money to the French government, but relationships with European intelligence and police agencies to really crack down on, like, they're the worst organised criminals in the world. These are the nastiest people around. Let's get at them.
Yeah, fine, absolutely, yeah. But is there not a slight flaw with what Keir Starmer and the Labour Party is saying, which is the assumption is that the full might of every single other European country to this point has been unable or unwilling to smash the gangs, but Sir Keir Starmer on July the 5th will be able to? And what's that based on?
So I think that is to use your phrase, it is a slight. I don't know if it's not so much a flaw, but it's the weakness in the argument.
Yeah,
and it's also the massive weakness in the Nigel Farage argument, which is that this isn't just a simple problem that by a gimmick on a boat you can fix, and let's get all the money back off the French. And I think Nigel even said, send in the Royal Marines. I mean, grow up, Nigel, and don't use the Royal Marines for your silly political stunts.
All right,
actually,
fine.
This is a really serious global
It is. But we have just established, haven't we, between the... But yeah, absolutely, and I'm fine with that. I understand that, and yes, I do think it is a bit simplistic to say send in the Royal Marines. I mean, the Royal Marines might not actually do it, right? So there is that side of it. But we have just established between the two of us, have we not, that the fatal flaw with Sir Keir Starmer's and the Labour Party's plan about smashing the gangs is that he might not be able to smash the gangs.
I never said it was a fatal flaw. What I said is that I think if we're having a sensible, grown-up discussion about it, I think you're right. And I think if you talk to Keir Starmer, he would admit also that you're right, that this is not an easy problem, that Labour is just going to easily, simply fix overnight, that nobody else has been able to fix. It is a difficult problem all over the world, and it would be difficult for Labour to fix, but they have to do a better job than the Tories, and frankly, they'll do a better job than Nigel on his boat talking nonsense.
Well, it's interesting because, I mean, look, Nigel would say that he'd turn the boats back, and I have put this to Reform. Which is, who are you going to get to actually turn the boats back, all right? And, you know, there is that side of it again. There are flaws in everybody's plan. I do wonder, though, whether or not having the likes of Yvette Cooper there with a sign saying refugees welcome and simultaneously removing what little deterrent the Rwanda plan actually might have been, it is going to make a blind bit of difference. But we will, as the polls stand, we will find out, won't we? Sean, thank you very much. I'll just say it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. Much appreciated. And I'm sorry that we've run out of time, though. It's Siôn Simon there.